Hey, hi, hello, and welcome to another episode of Dirty Water Late Night. You hear those tones? That's the sound of the greatest bar coming to you through your computers. I'm your host, Ryan Shaney, and tonight we've got an excellent night of Dirty Water Late Night for you. We've got guests Frank Cazzaro and Jesse Miles, some hilarious comedians who are going to be on tonight. And as always, we're brought to you by our lovely sponsor, Jack Daniel's Tennessee Honey. And guess what? You never know what's going to happen on Dirty Water Late Night, so stay tuned.
I'm sorry, that wasn't Ryan Shaney?
It was very damn close.
It was pretty spot on. I mean, I was fooled. Guys, Ryan Shaney's not here tonight. I'm here. I'm Corey Saunders. Thanks so much for joining us tonight on Dirty Water Late Night, brought to you by Jack Daniel's Tennessee Honey. Ryan couldn't be with us tonight. He's actually up in New Hampshire. He said he was doing comedy. I think he might be like watching NASCAR or Lost in the Woods. And if my theory's correct, we're gonna have to send out the Dirty Water Late Night search party, which is really just me, our producers and crew, and we'll be in the woods and I'll be going, it's cold, I don't wanna be here. It's Ryan's fault for getting lost. But I'm joined tonight by the incorrigible Jesse R. Miles. He has a middle initial because he's fancy. Jesse, welcome.
Thank you very much for having me, Corey.
Thank you for joining us. I appreciate it. How you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm a little worried about Ryan. I'm afraid he slipped on one of his podcast koozies and hurt himself.
Shots fired. So what have you been up to lately? You've been playing a lot of clubs.
Yeah, I've been doing a lot more shows lately.
Yeah.
Just been getting better and getting on more shows and just having a blast doing comedy. And filmed a sketch over the summertime, so that'll be coming out soon.
Oh yeah, what's that about? Give us a preview.
Basically, I wrote a sketch where it's a romantic comedy about mansplaining.
Oh!
Just think Liar Liar with mansplaining. And the guy just can't help it, and we titled it Well Actually.
I like that. So when's that coming out?
Hopefully within the next couple of months. The person who shot it's in the editing process.
Still cutting and putting everything together. Yeah.
It was for a local guy who's trying to put together 30 short films by 30 different comedians and people in the Boston area. So when they come out, it'll be part of a whole series.
That's a really cool project.
Yeah.
Keep us posted on that.
Absolutely.
And so what I want to talk about today is that, so we were on the Club Cafe show this summer, and yes. I've seen you out and about all over town. You're playing all over the place. You do this brilliant joke about how you came into this world, and I love the way you tell this story because it's so unapologetically funny, where you reason, you're like, this could be seven. No, I'm fine. I'm doing great.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Can you tell me a little bit about that and where that came from? And
that honestly came from just, because I'm adopted, for those of you who don't know the thing, but I talked to my biological mom and found out how I actually was born. It was hilarious. It would be traumatic to most people, but to me, it was funny to me. Basically, I'll do the shortened version of it.
Yeah.
How I came about was in the 80s, my mom was working in a restaurant, and she was sleeping with the bartender, because that's how restaurants work.
Of course.
Yes. And when she got pregnant with me, it turns out he had a wife that he didn't tell her about.
Oh, are you kidding? A man?
I know.
Infidelity? No.
and since it was the 80s and my mom is an African-American woman and he is an Irish man, he came into work and was basically like, oh, I'm me and you're you. Here's like $400.
That's like very 80s Boston.
Oh, it is. It's just like, let's hit the delete key on this, which I never want anyone to feel bad about because she clearly didn't do it. Still. But I love it because my mom had me pocketed the money for a vacation and then just dropped me off at a daycare with a 21-year-old white woman, and when she came back from vacation was just like, do you want to keep that baby?
Just like, I'm good.
I'm good. Yeah. And my mom was like, oh yeah, no, I'll take this baby.
Well,
but it was fun.
I always say everything happens for a reason, and I feel like that's almost like poetic in a way, where it seems like things, were pretty good after that.
Oh yeah. Despite the initial, like, I'm 21 and panicking, here's my baby. Like, which turns out isn't legal.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, like, I feel like there's some paperwork there that we missed.
There's a few more sheets that you need to sign rather than just, like, giving a lateral pass to someone with a baby and then it's
usually like a lawyer in a court, DCF's involved.
My life might have been a 29-year kidnapping that I'm fine with, so.
He says with a smile on his face. So where else though, like, because you have this brilliant way of just like mining your life for inspiration. Like, how do you get, and how are you okay with talking about these, and how do you like bring them out in the way you do? Because I'm just always like so fascinated by people's stories, and you have this great way of like putting it all out there and like with this positive spin.
Well, I think when messed up shit happens to you in your life, you have two ways of dealing with it. Either you can submit to it and be like, why does this keep happening to me? Or you can say, this is crazy as hell, and just have fun with the concept of it. Because if you can logically say, yeah, this isn't normal, then you can see how ridiculous and funny it is. So that's how I've always just kind of dealt with it. My friends would be like, are you okay? I'm like, no, guys, this is hilarious. I'm on a first name basis with the cops because they visit my mom more than me.
Like, that's the thing, is that you're so right about that, because like on a much lesser scale in my life, like, sometimes you end up on a date with a vampire and you just have to roll with it.
Yeah, you have to be prepared for that.
He did wear fangs. He actually wore fangs to the bar.
I wish that wasn't the first time I've heard of that happening. I knew a friend in high school who I literally had to get on the phone with someone they were talking to on a dating website and be like, no, she's just confused, man. You can't come and hang out and drink her blood. Like, that was a thing she was actually setting up to do. And she's like, I don't know if this is a good idea. I'm like, no, you shouldn't be courting people to make you bleed.
You're like a really good friend.
Yeah, I am like the best friend.
Well, that's the thing that I don't understand, though, because I feel like especially in this online dating world, people are coming out with, or just like putting out there, like the weird things that they, you know what I mean, that you would never have heard about 15 years ago.
No, I think the problem is we gave everybody the illusion that we're all the most interesting person in the world, and we need to know all our internal thoughts. Like, I think 20 years ago, shit people would have kept to themselves. They're like, I gotta post this now. And it's like, no, you absolutely should not.
What's the worst thing you've seen posted? Like, what's the weirdest thing that you, like, you know what I mean? Like, are there any, like, that really stick out for you? Because I feel like, especially as comedians, you probably know a lot of weird people.
I think the weirdest thing I usually see is comedians getting mad at comedians for material. That is weird to me, because we are in the business of trying to protect, like, what we're saying. We're not always going to be right, because most of us are a bunch of damaged idiots doing our best. And it's weird when I see comedians assuming the meaning behind someone else's joke. I'm like, guys, we're all on the same team.
You know, I'm with you in that regard, but I also love sitting at my computer with a tub of popcorn and watching drama happen on the Boston Comedians board.
The Boston Comedians board is the most cantankerous location in all of Boston, and it's beautiful. I don't know. I like it. I don't post in the board a lot, but one thing you will know is there's nothing Boston comedians love more than fighting with each other over stupid bullshit.
I know, and it's like so funny because we're all like in our 20s, 30s, 40s, and it's like high school never ends, and it's the funniest thing.
I think the comedians board in the town of Alston have the same like age limit where if you're 35 years or older, you're not there.
And they just fade into the background.
Yeah, they just fade in the back. They're like, I'm an adult now. I don't have time for this.
I know, I wish I could say the same because that's what I spend a lot of my time doing. And so tell me, like, what else are you working on? Like what are your comedy goals for the year? Like, what do you have coming up that we?
My goal for the year so far has been to have a minimum of 5 shows a month.
Yeah.
I want to have a website, and just put out more material. I had a lot of fun writing a sketch, so I'm working on writing a few more scripts and stuff like that.
The sketch writing's a lot different than stand-up.
Sketch writing is a lot different than stand-up. Like, it's a lot different between writing jokes or writing down a story that you need to punch up than creating a work of fiction. Because, like, that's really hard for me. Like, I give all the credit in the world to comics that can do setup, punch, setup, punch, setup. Like, that's just a skill I don't have. I'm good at doing a story and putting jokes in there. So, like, working on more fiction-based stuff and just comedic writing has been a really fun, like, exercise, and just kind of stretching the comedy muscles a little more.
Like, that's the fascinating thing, though, is that especially, like, you watch shows like SNL and Mad TV, stuff like that, where they come up with these, like, characters, and, like, everyone's so funny and the jokes are so punchy. It's like you're almost in awe of how people get to that point.
Yeah, the, like, joke per minute ratio is insane. It took me a while to get comfortable, because when you do, like, stories and stuff like that, you have to be comfortable in those few moments of silence, because there's a lot of setup, and you're like, oh, I hope the punch works. Because if you get stares, you're like, oh, you don't like me, because that's what I'm talking about.
Well, sometimes that payoff is so worth it, though.
Yeah, you just got to be good at making that payoff worth it.
Now, what was your inspiration to start getting into sketch writing and stuff like that?
I don't know, it was just, I wanted to do more than just stand-up. I think part of being a creative person and doing something like stand-up is you just kind of get bit by that bug where you're like, what else can I do with this? Like, I'm good at doing this thing that's funny. I just want to continue to challenge myself and try and see if I'm comfortable outside of my element and doing more things comedically than just stand-up.
Now, would you say your writing's more, like, reality-based, or is it just kind of like,
Oh, it's absolutely reality-based.
Now, where do you pull that from?
Basically, anything I've also surrounded myself with a good group of people that are also fairly damaged, so there's never a dull moment. If I'm not having a crisis, one of my friends is having a crisis, and I get to dive headfirst into that and be like, oh, my problems can wait a month.
Well, they say conflict makes for a good story.
Nothing makes for a better story than a good conflict. Nothing makes for a better story than a unique conflict.
Yeah. Like, that's the thing. I'm working on a story right now. I'm on a storytelling show later this month, and so the theme is New Year's, and so we have to come out with, like, a New Year's story. And I always think back, like, my craziest, like, favorite New Year's was when I was working down in Providence. We ended up in a strip club that was, like, owned by the mob, and we were getting escorted in by a cop, and he was like,
so any strip club in Providence.
Exactly. And this cop was like, just tell the bouncer you're with me, and we'd have to go up and be like, we're with Ralph. Like, all right, so Jesse, this has been a lot of fun, but we only have so much time. I wish we had all the time in the world. We don't. Yeah. Tell us where we can see you next. When are you performing?
January 31st, I'm going to be at the Shaskeen Pub up in Manchester, New Hampshire. February 3rd, I'll be doing high performance comedy. That is at a location called Jed's Basement in Alston.
And that's the show where the comedians are smoking weed, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a secret location, so that's why we just call it the basement.
So that show's going to be fascinating in and of itself. So don't miss it. Jesse, how do we find you online?
You can find me on Twitter at @TheJesseMiles, also on Instagram at @TheJesseMiles, and Facebook.com/Jesse R. Miles.
But not just Jesse Miles. The Jesse Miles. Guys, Jesse, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Stick with us. We're going to be right back with more Dirty Water Late Night. With us, we're back with more Dirty Water Late Night, brought to you by Jack Daniel's Tennessee Honey. Delicious. If I start drinking too much now, though. I'm going to be drunk and my interview is going to be incoherent. So let me introduce our next guest. Frank Cazzaro is joining us. Frank's also another super funny comic, plays all over Boston, all over New England, and New York, right?
Sometimes.
Yeah, so you've been to Dangerfields, right? Where else?
Dangerfields, Broadway Comedy Club, Greenwich Village Comedy Club.
So what do you like about New York versus Boston?
You know, I've only been to New York on like short trips.
Yeah.
Boston's a lot easier to navigate.
Yeah.
I'd rather kill myself and drive around New York, which is what I end up doing. I have a little car, so it's a little bit easier. But yeah, compared to
And you not only do you play like Boston, New York, you're also in Rhode Island a lot.
Yeah, I'm mostly in Providence. I'm at the Rhode Island Comedy Connection a lot, and I produce shows down there and in Massachusetts and things like that.
Because Providence is starting to have like a comedy scene down there, I've noticed.
Oh yeah, the club is great, and the scene's growing. Yeah, it's doing really well.
Well, it is a fun city too. You have the downtown area. There's so much to do. I covered Providence for 2 years at my old job. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot going on down there, and I feel like people don't realize how much there is.
Yeah, there's a ton. And the best thing for me, like I don't like driving. It's really easy to navigate. Yeah. It's the most easy to navigate.
Oh yeah, when I used to work down there, we used to rely on like cabs and then Uber because we were often far too drunk to drive.
Yeah.
Actually, we were trying to Uber back to North Providence one night, and someone was making out in the back of the van, and the Uber driver threatened to let us out on 146 where there's no breakdown lane. You know where I'm talking about with the state offices? Yeah, so that was traumatizing. But enough about my trauma.
I want to hear more about your trauma. That should be the whole show.
Well,
your trauma.
Really, that whole night ended where everyone was making out except me, and I was eating pizza alone on a couch. And then I woke up and I found a bunch of people naked, and then I threw up the pizza and had to go to work.
The picture of you in the middle of a couch with a pizza box on your lap, while there's people just going at it all around you, is kind of gold. That's amazing.
Well,
that's a great picture.
Was that I had a partner in crime. Like, my best friend is great. I love her to death. As she was eating the pizza with me, this guy she knows busts in the apartment, like doesn't knock, just like opens the door, picks her up and pulls her in the bedroom. Then she comes back out in like nothing but a bra, picks up a piece of pizza, goes back in the bed. I was like, damn, good for you, girl.
Yeah, or good for him maybe. Who knows? Yeah, that's crazy.
Know. I mean, she's skinny. She needed to eat a piece of pizza and then some. But, but so enough about my shenanigans. You're super funny. I mean, I'm obviously funny, but you're super funny. So you talk about a lot, like, I feel like, we talked about this, talking about your material, like relationships, and like your comedy's very like grounded and just like very real life.
Yeah, I pretty much only just tell stories from my life.
Yeah.
So like right now I'm talking a lot about getting divorced, which happened last year.
Fun.
And things. Yeah, it's worth doing once if you're gonna do it. It's worth doing once. It was a crazy experience.
Now, where do you find the humor in divorce, though?
Well, it's really because it's all my fault. Yeah. So as a type of therapy, I just started talking about it on stage at open mics, and then jokes happened. But it was a thing where it was like, have you been in a relationship where you need to end it, but instead you just stick it out for a while? I did that for 7 years. So
that's a long time.
Yeah. So it's kind of just like, oh, look how good I am at life. You know what I mean? So that's kind of the whole point.
What was the craziest thing that happened in that whole process for you?
The craziest thing was, so I had this epiphany where I'm like, all right, this isn't working out. So I was like, I got to clear my head. So I took a day off from work and I ate a handful of mushrooms. Right? So
As
I'm like,
you do.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I'll hang out in my backyard. I'll look at some trees, and that'll help me. And there's a rule when you do psychedelics: you don't do it if you're upset or stressed out. So within about an hour, the mushrooms were like, "You fucked up today. You should not have done this." So I just paced around in my backyard, like half crying, and like I didn't know what to do. And then I would burst out laughing, and then the trees were really pretty.
But like, here's the thing that kills me is that like, normally people take drugs to escape, but yours were like, no, you're a fuck up.
Yeah, I did it to process all this, but at the most horrible time. And the worst thing was in the middle, I got a call from my wife, who was like, hey, I need you to bring the potato salad in the fridge to my parents' house across town. So I'm like, I can't be like, oh, I can't because I'm tripping my ass off in the backyard. So I'm like, I guess we're on an adventure now. So, Yeah, but I wound up getting there, and when I got to her house, her parents' house, I was like, I can't talk to people. I can't talk to any people. So I snuck up behind the house, and I put it on their back steps and ran back to my car and drove away. So I don't know if they ever even got it. Yeah.
I mean, you know, it's not the first place I go looking for potato salad.
Right.
But it's not the last.
Right. Yeah, like they would have stumbled upon it.
You still brought it to the house.
Yeah, it was they're on their property.
Yeah, you know what?
I feel like it's on them.
Boys and girls.
Yeah.
They can figure it out.
Yeah, if they didn't find it, they weren't looking hard enough, you know? Yeah. I felt like such a champion when I drove. Well, I did it. Nobody saw me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dodged another bullet.
Yeah.
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 But now there's a new love in your life.
Yes.
And what's it like dating another comedian?
You know, I think the nicest thing is we can joke with each other and not worry about hurting the other person's feelings. So, like, if I do something, you can be like, oh, way to go, dummy, you know? And it doesn't bother me. And
It doesn't cause like, oh, you're so mean.
Right.
Yeah.
That never happens, you know? And she gets it if I come home and I'm like, oh, that sucked. That audience was like, I hate you. She's like, oh, yeah, I understand, you know? Yeah.
What's the worst you ever bombed?
The worst?
Yeah.
Oh, that would definitely be at a private show or a corporate show.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, because like I work with Mike Fahey and Brian Bowden, who's out of Rhode Island, Wicked Funny Productions, and it was, before that, me and Mike did Laughing Gas Comedy. We did a lot of corporate events and private events. So we'd get booked to be like, hey, it's my grandfather's 60th birthday party. It's a cookout. Can you just stand next to the grill and tell jokes at the family?
I imagine that would be very hot.
It's very hot, and they're either all hammered and enjoying it, or they don't even know there's a show. They're just like, why is someone shouting in a microphone? What is happening right now? Yeah. Or like, we did a show for a corporate event recently that was at a restaurant in a function room, but they just had like a 6-foot divider between the function and just people eating dinner. So there's like raffles and we're telling jokes, and then there's like people with kids over there and we're talking about God knows what. It wasn't good. They're like, I'm trying to eat spaghetti, like, for Christ's sakes. Yeah,
I
they're
want to
bad.
eat my carbs in peace.
Yeah, but those are the worst because they're paying you to be there, and it's like, ugh.
How do you recover from that?
You kind of don't. You order a drink and then you kind of just drive home and you're like, I don't know. I don't know.
Pocket the cash and run.
Kind of, yeah. I mean, at times you apologize profusely, and then, you know, you never know how it's going to go. It's weird. They're scary.
No, I have to imagine you have to tailor your material for that kind of crowd, though.
Yeah, it's mostly editing for, like, content.
Yeah.
Like, because it'll be, like, PG-13, which usually just means don't be crazy.
Yeah.
But, yeah, sometimes, yeah. Like, I at a show for Roto-Rooter, right? There was a guy who heckled me who was drunk. So I was like, oh, how many of you had? And he goes, 2. And I was like, oh, you're lying.
Yeah.
So I was like, yeah, 2, so you just have a speech impediment? And and he went, actually, I only have half a tongue. Yeah.
I give up.
Yeah.
I tap out.
Yeah, he was like, and everybody else was like, yeah, he's got half a tongue. And I was like,
God.
all right. But then he made a joke and was like, oh, I'll tell you about it after the show in the parking lot. Like, he made a joke which helped me recover. But he was a really sweet guy, and it was fine, but I felt like an asshole. Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing, though, is that I feel like by heckling someone, you invite it, like, regardless. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like, it was like a help heckle, like, where he's like, I'm not trying to hurt you, I'm trying to help the show.
Oh.
But he just happened to, he talks like a drunk, like, he sounded exactly like, he was doing the best impersonation of a drunk I've ever heard, you know?
That's the worst. I did a fundraiser at Club Cafe, oh God, it was 2 years ago now. I'm old. And like, we were raising money for my friend's AIDS walk team, which is like, you know, like, pretty serious cause, you know what I mean? And we're telling jokes and having a good time. There's this drunk guy in the front row. But like, I'm asking rhetorical questions and he's answering, and I'm like, no.
Yeah.
Not you. We don't want to hear from you.
Right. That's what always happens. There's the one guy who's like, I'm drunk, and then he'll be like, don't talk to me. Don't talk to me.
No. I'm the one with the microphone. You're a peasant.
Yeah. Don't worry, sir. I have no desire to talk to you. Yeah.
I've got this.
Yeah. They go all, like, we did a show once in a church basement for someone's 50th birthday, and no one there knew there was a show. And we were next to a buffet line, and there were kids running around. It's brutal.
I have lots of questions on that one.
Yeah.
First of all, in a church basement,
Yeah.
how do you tailor your material so as to not offend God?
I don't know. I feel like he's offended by everything, right?
Well, that's my concern. I'm
Yeah,
because
yeah.
I would not be able to take that show.
Yeah.
It wouldn't happen.
Well, thankfully, if he was there, he didn't heckle or anything. You know what I mean? Like, he just kind of took it in stride. But, like, at the time, I'd only been doing comedy like a year and a half.
Yeah.
So I didn't know how to tailor my material. And if I did, I'd be like, well, I have 3 minutes. You know what I mean? So I did like 10 or 12 minutes of wildly inappropriate church material, you know? Yeah.
Yeah, I imagine that wouldn't go great.
No, it went badly.
Yeah.
It went pretty badly.
Now,
Yeah.
did it start to get like really hot in there? Like, did flames start like appearing?
A little bit, yeah. Like they were
Did
licking
your
my
skin
heels a
start
little.
to sizzle?
Yeah, yeah. I felt a dark spot on my soul. Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
My God, it's so funny how many like weird gigs you can end up with in this business.
Yeah, crazy. There's so like crazy gigs. Yeah.
You know, like, what's the strangest gig you've heard of? Like, 'cause that's what I want to know. Like, what is like the like most ridiculous gig that you know what I mean?
Yeah, I actually got a message, someone trying to book me for a show recently, and they said, we want to fill time. It's a 24-hour marathon event. We want 3 hours of comedy at like in the middle of the night. And it's like there's going to be like bands and other shit going on at the same time. So I had to be like, that sounds like the worst thing I've ever heard. I'm sorry, I'm booked that day.
It sounds convoluted.
Yeah.
I feel like it's tough to compete with the bands.
Yeah. You're not as exciting as a band, like
Yeah.
unless you're Bill Burr or like Chris Rock or something. Like
I want to see like a comedy mosh pit,
that would be
right?
great.
How hilarious would that be?
I wonder how we could make that happen. Like instead of laughing, just beat the shit out of each other.
Exactly. That would
Yeah.
be. I mean, it'd just be like the Boston Comedians Board.
Yeah. It would be.
All right, so I'm having a lot of fun, but we only have so much time.
That's
and
fine.
I'm being wrapped by Christine right now.
Wrapped.
So Frank, tell us where we can see you next.
I will be on January 20th. I will be at Comics at Mohegan Sun, and then later that night I'll be at the Orpheum Theater in Foxborough.
So you've got a lot of traveling that day.
Yeah, that's gonna be rough. That's gonna be rough.
Where can we find you online?
At Frank Gazzaro on Twitter and Facebook also.
And we got the spelling on the screen so that you can't screw it up.
Yep.
We're gonna take a little break, and when we come back, we've got a game. So stick with us on Dirty Water Late Night. Welcome back to Dirty Water Late Night, brought to you by Jack Daniel's Tennessee Honey. We're back with Frank Gazzaro, Jesse Miles. They came back for more. We didn't scare them away. And we're going to play a little game, test their movie knowledge. It's going to be great. You guys ready?
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
I love the genuine enthusiasm.
Oh, I'm pumped.
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah.
I'm very competitive.
Good.
Yeah, very competitive.
All right, so each question you get right, you earn a point. Person with the most right answers at the end of the game wins. What do they win? My admiration. Not much else.
That's a fair trophy, I think.
It's a good prize. I want it.
It's worth a lot.
Like, you can't put it on the wall, but you can keep it in your heart.
Oh. I'm gonna get really emotional. All right, first question, guys. In what movie did Dustin Hoffman play a man playing a woman?
Is it Working Girl?
Nope.
I know this one. Tootsie.
Yes.
Tootsie!
Damn it, first point goes to Frank.
Yeah.
Nice. Hold on to the cards so we can keep track.
Okay.
All right. What form does Gozer take in Ivan Reitman's, however you say that, Ghostbusters?
What form does who take?
Gozer, I guess. I didn't know that was his name.
The form of...
Like, what does the ghost turn into? Remember this? He's like terrorizing the city.
Yeah. Giant dog thing.
No.
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 Wait.
Mr. Stay Puft.
Yes. Ding, ding, ding,
Stay
ding.
Puft Marshmallow.
What is...
He's kicking your ass.
He is kicking my ass. Shit.
Where did the Grinch steal Christmas?
Christmas Town.
Whoville.
Point goes to Jesse.
I think it was Christmas Town. Are you
But
sure?
it's
Christmas
not.
Town.
That's a whole other movie.
Is there a movie?
That's
I think it's like a
Nightmare Before
Disney Channel
Christmas.
movie, right?
That was Nightmare Before Christmas.
Oh, maybe that's it. I don't know. I'm dead inside. Whatever.
Rudolphville. All right, go.
All right, guys. In Ferris Bueller's Day Off, what does Ferris Bueller persuade Cameron to borrow?
His dad's car.
More specifically,
Oh.
Am I supposed to remember the Mustang? Was it a Mustang?
don't give it to you 'cause you're close enough. It's a Ferrari.
All right. I wouldn't have known that either.
I don't know. Me and cars. My first car was a Mustang convertible. Someone once asked me if it was a V6 or a V8, and I said, "Oh no, don't put tomato juice in it. That's bad for it." So I'm not the person to be judging anyone's car knowledge.
My first car was a Crown Vic that got towed in the first day I owned it.
I also
Pumpkin.
owned a Crown Vic.
Not a good car.
No,
No.
it's real bad. Yeah.
You tried. You
Give it
tried.
a shot.
All right. In Pee-wee's Big Adventure, what gets stolen to start Pee-wee's Big Adventure?
His ticket to the porn theater.
Oh!
That was hacky. That
Shit
was
just
hacky.
got real.
That was pretty hacky. I'm sorry. I apologize to the audience.
No, that's
was-
what caused Paul Rubin's career to get stolen.
Yeah. That's a joke that should have been made 30 years ago. I apologize.
So what you're telling me is you don't know the answer.
No, I don't.
It was his bike.
It was his bike.
Oh.
Nice job, Jesse.
I prefer his answer.
All right, guys. True or false? Jack Nicholson and Adam Sandler have never been in a movie together.
True?
Not
None
anger
of the above.
management.
What?
Anger
As you
management.
named the movie.
Oh, I didn't see that. I don't know what that is.
Nice job. All right, guys. How old is Kevin in the 1990 classic Home Alone? 8, 9, or 10?
8.
You're right. Kevin McAllister. All right, what are the Blues Brothers trying to save?
Oh, yeah, I know.
They have a mission. They're on a mission from God.
Oh, God.
Soul music?
Well, that too. The orphanage they grew up at.
Very nice.
Thank you, sir.
These guys aren't messing around here. Now, in what movie does a young Michael J. Fox speed toward an electrified cable at 80 miles per hour?
That's
Say in the mic.
Back to the Future.
I might say no movie. Did you say 80 miles an hour?
Yeah.
It's 88 miles per hour.
Oh, is the card wrong?
The game is flawed.
He is more right than the card.
We got to throw all these answers could be wrong.
We're gonna investigate.
All right. I'm gonna write a strongly
Trivia
worded
fraud.
letter. Yeah. You can't.
Now
You
only
can't fucking go back in time. and-
Executive producers.
You can't hit it at 80 miles an hour like some kind of like an asshole just trying to. Oh, I'm gonna go at 80.
now only his sodas
the extra
accelerate
8
that
miles an
fast.
Heyo.
Hey,
You just hit the line and then nothing would happen.
Listen, that movie has a lot more issues than just how fast the DeLorean was going,
All right, so
okay?
he might have almost dated his mom, but that has nothing to do with it.
Well, exactly.
Yeah, but she was pretty attractive.
Still, like,
Like if my mom,
No.
maybe back in time, maybe.
I'm
Heteros.
adopted, so I don't know how to even gauge this question.
You gotta,
I'm like, it's a multiple choice answer for me. With varying degrees of weird it would be.
this is going off the rails very quickly, and I'm here for it.
but what family? If you had to pick
What
one.
degree of family would be okay? None of them, never.
right.
Unless you're from the South. Oh, was that out loud? Whoops. In Happy Gilmore, what sport does Happy want to play? He wears the jersey on the... You guys, you can see this in your minds.
Yeah.
Chris is giving
Oh, come on. It's the Boston Bruins. It's
Wait, so what sport does he want to
wants
play?
my hockey.
Oh. When you said Happy Gilmore, I thought Billy Madison, and I'm like, I think he wears T-shirts. I don't know.
Very
He does wear
similar.
t-shirts,
Yeah, yeah.
except in the infamous bath scene where he has the fight between shampoo and conditioner.
Wow, you have studied this film.
Do you know how many times we watched it when I was 10 years old?
Especially the bath scene.
I wasn't into Adam Sandler. We just thought it was funny that the shampoo and the conditioner were fighting. He was like, I'm shampoo. I go on first to clean the hair.
Oh, really, fool?
And then the shampoo and conditioner actually fight. It's a cinematic marvel.
It's probably the best fight scene in any movie.
It rivals like the first Matrix, really.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
The Wachowski brothers borrowed a lot from that film.
I just want to see Billy Madison like dodging like the shampoo.
Yeah.
Anyway, I just leaned back like that on TV. That's fine. What movie features TPS reports, memos, and an attack on an office printer?
Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves.
No. Nice try.
Hook.
No.
Beastmaster.
Oh, did we not see the same movie?
Beastmaster 2.
I feel like we're just doing Peter Pan guesses. Tell me what we're guessing.
Critters 2. The Revenge. They go on a ball.
Clerks. I'm happy this happened.
Let's try this again.
Babe in the City, or whatever that is.
TPS reports, memos, and an attack on a printer.
The Hudsucker Proxy.
Schindler's List.
There's
Was
a-
it not a printed list?
There's the secretary.
It's definitely a Liam Neeson movie. Like, Liam Neeson's in it, right?
I'm pretty sure
So
it's
his daughter doesn't get stolen in this movie.
It's like Chloe or something, right? Chloe? Is it Chloe?
Taken 5.
How many times that poor girl gonna get kidnapped, by the way?
At what point are you just going to be like, I'm a bad dad who can't keep his family safe?
But at a certain point, it might also be like, maybe you should fucking look both ways before you cross the street. Like, I'm not going to rescue. Like, what are you doing?
All right, so what you guys are telling me is you can't name the movie where the weird guy goes down into the basement, they banish him.
I think we can both probably name them.
Okay,
Yeah.
I need someone to give me the title.
Lord of the Rings. No.
All right, on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3.
The Office. Space.
Office Space. The
Yes,
Office.
he got the title out.
The Office Space.
No, it's not. It's a sitcom. You were close.
It's the made-for-TV movie.
No, it's just on TV all the time now. There's a difference. You guys are out of control, and I like it. Okay, so Steve Martin's first movie was The Jerk, Sergeant Pepper, or Pennies from Heaven. What was it?
Pennies from Heaven sounds like a first movie.
But is that your answer?
Yeah.
You'd be wrong.
The
Cool.
Jerk.
You're wrong too.
What?
Sergeant Pepper. What?
The card was wrong about the other question.
But that
I
card's
really
right.
could be right.
Listen, we're not fighting the cards right now, all right? Guys, tally up how many cards you have, because we need to see how we're doing here.
I have four.
You have 4?
I
Okay.
have 25.
Jesse is 6.
Oh, yeah, 6.
All right, we're going to do a couple more, and then we're going to call it.
All right.
All right, in Monsters, Inc., what powers Monstropolis? The Monster City. What do they need to power their city?
Casualties caused by SIDS?
I'm going to go ahead and say no.
Damn it. It seems like something that would power a monster factory.
It would, but it's not quite that dramatic.
No? Oh, Disney, step your game up.
The blood of a newborn baby.
Also, no.
Are you
close.
sure?
You're
I
close.
think Frank's right.
Are you sure?
I'm pretty
I
sure.
definitely remember a ritual sacrifice in that movie.
It's what half of Disney runs off of.
You guys are ridiculous. Let's think about this logically. Monsters scare people. What do people do when they're scared?
Pee.
They do. They pee quite a bit.
Close.
All right.
Shit.
Also
The other one.
close.
Goosebumps. Goosebumps power of the city.
Also, but think vocal.
Fear boner.
They call for help? They dial 911.
Screams, you win.
All right.
Screams, really?
All right, last question. What actor gets the girl in There's Something About Mary? Who ends up with her at the end? 'Cause you remember there were a bunch of guys going after her.
Brett Favre.
No.
REO Speedwagon.
No, both horrible choices.
All right. Night Ranger.
No.
Chris Elliott.
No.
Cinderella.
Hot, but no. No. This is
Adam Sandler.
This is for the win, you guys.
All right.
Schindler.
What is with your obsession with Schindler's List?
It's a great movie. And I just watched it.
Happy Gilmore.
Closer. Who's the actor? Give me the actor. Yeah, he does Blue Steel.
Owen Wilson.
No, that's Hansel.
Luke
Whatever.
Wilson.
So far off, it's not even funny.
Wilson from Castaway.
Mr. Wilson's War.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and call this because we're running out of time.
Ben Stiller.
Very nice.
Nice.
There we go.
Guys, this was so fun, and ended in a tie, so you both have my undying admiration. Thank you so much for playing and making us all laugh and horrifying me at the exact same time.
That's what we do.
We've got to go. Thank you to Frank Azzaro, Jesse Miles for being here. We're going to take a quick shot before we go.
Oh, yeah.
Because after this show, I need a drink. So we're going to do a celebratory shot to celebrate not only all the fun we've had and the friends we've made tonight, but to also erase every horrifying thing these two men said from our minds.
Or lock it in, maybe. Maybe it'll lock it in.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Cheers.
Cheers.
To us and Dirty Water Late Night and our fabulous crew who's made the show possible. 3, 2. That's delicious.
Yeah.
Very tasty.
Yeah.
Very good.
We're going to do a few more of these off camera, and I'm not driving home. And seriously, drink responsibly. Guys, thank you so much for being here. Frank Azzaro, Jesse Miles. Find them on Twitter. Find out when their shows are. Go see them do comedy. They're both really funny guys. I want to thank Jerry Glendine, Chris Dills, our producer, Calvin behind the board there, who's been awesome all night. Show's awesome impression of Ryan. He's like watching people dance. I'm not sure what's happening over there right now. There's like
He's
reggaeton music and
mesmerized.
people are dancing. I don't know. But guys, we had a really fun show, and we say the same thing at the end of every show. Do you guys know what the tagline? Can you say it with me?
I don't know it.
Just lip sync it. It'll be fine.
Okay.
Be Britney. Okay. So our catchphrase here on the show, we say this at the end of every show because it's true. You never know what's gonna happen on Dirty Water Late Night. Guys, I'm Corey Saunders. Good night.